The Rosary of Dust. Part 1. The Inheritance of Silence. Chapter 1. The Letter. Elias Thorne considered himself a professional skeptic, a trade that was both his passion and his curse. At 38, he was a moderately successful architectural historian specializing in the restoration of pre-industrial American religious structures. He wasn't a man of faith. He was a man of blueprints, mortar composition, and the quiet stories told by decaying wood. He'd spent his life listening to the groans of old buildings, and not once had he heard anything that sounded like a ghost. The letter that changed everything arrived on a damp Tuesday in October, looking as ancient and out of place as the buildings he studied. The envelope was heavy, creamy parchment, sealed with a black wax emblem of a leafless briar rose. There was no return address, only a postmark from a town he'd never heard of, Solitude, Colorado. Inside, the script was an elegant, almost severe cursive written with an old-fashioned fountain pen. It was an invitation, or rather, a summons. The abbess of the Order of Our Lady of Perpetual Sorrow, Mother Agnes, requested his immediate consultation. The Abbey of the Penitent Thorn, a secluded cloister in the high, unforgiving peaks of the Rocky Mountains, was facing a structural crisis. An endowment of significant value has been allocated for the complete restoration of our scriptorium bell tower, a structure of unique historical import. Your name, Mr. Thorne, was specifically mentioned in the benefactor's will. Elias snorted. A secret benefactor? A cloistered convent of sorrowful nuns in the middle of nowhere? It sounded like the plot of a Gothic novel. But the final paragraph caught his professional eye. It stated, "The tower suffers from a peculiar form of acoustic decay. The stonework seems to take in sound in a manner that defies conventional explanation. We require an expert who understands not just the body of a building, but its voice." Acoustic decay. The phrase was clinical, yet deeply unsettling. He'd never heard of it. Buildings settled. They cracked. They crumbled. They didn't absorb sound. Attached to the letter was a cashier's check for an advance that made his breath catch. It was more than he earned in a year. The check was drawn from a bank in Zurich. Against his better judgment, and fueled by a cocktail of professional curiosity and financial desperation, he accepted. He packed his tools, his laser measures, his audio recording equipment, and his skepticism, and he flew to Denver. Chapter 2. Solitude. The town of Solitude was little more than a wound in the landscape. A handful of weathered buildings huddled together as if for warmth against the towering, indifferent mountains. A single gas station, a general store, and a bar called The Last Whisper constituted its entire commercial district. The air was thin and sharp, and the silence was a physical presence, broken only by the mournful cry of the wind. A nun was waiting for him. She was young, barely out of her teens, with a pale, heart-shaped face and eyes so wide and dark they seemed to drink the light. She introduced herself as Sister Catherine. She did not smile. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice a soft, breathy whisper, "Mother Agnes is expecting you." The journey to the Abbey took another hour. climbing a treacherous, unpaved road that wound its way up the side of the mountain. The vehicle was an ancient black Land Rover that rattled like a skeleton in a tin box. Sister Catherine drove with unnerving focus, her hands clenched on the wheel. "The Order of Our Lady of Perpetual Sorrow," I said, trying to break the oppressive silence. "Is it an old order?" "The oldest in this country," Sister Catherine whispered, her eyes fixed on the road. "We came here to be unheard." Unheard? The world is a cacophony of sin, a shouting match of vanities. Our purpose is to offer God a space of pure, untainted silence, a gift. The Abbey appeared suddenly, as if materializing from the mist and stone. It was a fortress of dark, formidable granite, clinging to the mountainside like a bird of prey. Its walls were high and imposing, with narrow slit-like windows. At its heart, a single magnificent tower rose towards the bruised purple sky, the Scriptorium Bell Tower. It was a masterpiece of Gothic austerity, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. As we passed through the massive iron gates, a profound quiet fell, deeper than the silence of the town. It was weighted, ancient silence, a curated silence. Elias felt the hair on his arm stand up. This wasn't just the absence of noise. This was an active, listening presence. Chapter 3. Mother Agnes and the Wounded Tower. Mother Agnes was a woman carved from granite and shadow. Her face was a roadmap of wrinkles, her eyes possessing a sharp, intelligent light that seemed to see right through Elias's professional veneer. She met him in a Spartan receiving room, the only decoration a large, dark wooden crucifix on the wall. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in his bones. "Thank you for coming." "The towers of acoustic decay," Elias began, getting straight to the point. "Can you describe it?" "Describe it." Mother Agnes' lips thinned. "It is an absence, a hunger. The tower was built to house the great bell Misericordia. For centuries its toll regulated our lives, our prayers. But 50 years ago, the sound began to fade." "Fade? Bells don't fade, Mother Abbess. The clapper strikes the bronze. It creates a vibration." "I am not a physicist, Mr. Thorne. I am a witness." She interrupted, her voice sharp. "First, the overtones vanished. Then the resonance. The sound became flat, dead. Then one day in the spring of 1973, Sister Elspeth rang the bell from Matins, and there was nothing. The clapper struck, the bell shook, but there was no sound, only a thud, like hitting a pillow of lead." She led him to the base of the tower. The interior was a perfect circular chamber, the stone walls soaring up into darkness. The air was cold, dead, and unnervingly still. When Elias spoke, his voice felt small and thin, as if the stone was drinking it. "It's like a professional echoic chamber," he breathed, clapping his hands. The sound was a flat, unsatisfying pop that died instantly. No echo, no reverberation. "This is impossible. The geometry here should create a perfect echo." "We believe a sickness has taken root in the stone itself, a spiritual blight. The benefactor who funded your work, she was the last novice to live here before the silence became complete. She left the order, terrified. Her final wish was that the tower's voice be restored. Elias spent the rest of the day conducting his preliminary survey. He used his laser instruments to map the interior, took core sample to the mortar, and set up his sensitive audio recording equipment. Everything was as Mother Agnes had said. The stone was normal granite. The construction was flawless. Yet the chamber was a sonic black hole. It swallowed sound whole. That night, alone in his small, cold cell, he set up a parabolic microphone aimed at the center of the towered chamber and